Welcome to the Vanishing Map Storytime, where stories speak and answers echo. The Belt of Chaos by Shan Shan Nie, audiobook. Chapter 2. Under a dull gray sky, clouds were mushed together around me, all moody and without any edges, making the air feel heavy and thick. Wait, clouds? Why am I surrounded by clouds? My chest stiffened. A nervous chuckle bubbled up in my throat as I noticed I was sitting on a blanket of fluffy balls in midair.
AmaReegon, tika tika. AmaReegon, tika tika ida.
A booming noise rang in my ears. Palm-sized music cymbals and black suits with white bow ties bobbed along as they floated around me. Am I dreaming? I bolted up, pinching my thigh so hard that my toes scrunched up in pain. This wasn't a dream, yet I felt woozy, my head spinning. I did a double take at a figure gliding out from the pack. I had never seen anything like this. A dancing treble clef with close-set bug eyes and crooked teeth poking out of his thin, scabby lips.
Alert! Before you stand the proud proctors of AmaReegon,
Treble began.
You in a place that you have no place in, listen up. Up comes dawn, unset goes the sun. My sun will be down when dusk meets dawn.
What's happening? My skin crawled at his screech, my head spinning. The self-proclaimed proctor went on.
An unfulfilled promise is a secret kept hidden. The secret revealed is the promiser beaten. But to fulfill a promise is to expose the secret and break the promiser.
Treble lowered his voice, leaning closer to me.
Should we not fulfill the promise, we will not destroy the promiser and keep the secret. And the secret kept is kept from a promise fulfilled.
His words were gibberish, making my head explode, and I was at a loss for words. All I could do was wait until the ring around us broke loose. The musical staff started scattering, their black suits, white bow ties, and small wings glinting into confetti tossed by the wild wind.
To the honor of the stasis,
chimed Treble. As they waltzed away and then disappeared, the bracing wind whipped my cheeks, and the spell broke. Below me, an open field came fast into sight. My every breath grew more rapid, my arms scrambled for support, and my hair, as unruly as I was tense, twirled around my shoulders. Soon the balls underneath me rattled and began to shrink like leaking balloons. They split in half and dropped me to the ground. As they bounced into the soil one after another, I rolled around, my body shaking more from the shock than the pain. When I finally stopped moving, I clutched myself. None of this could be real. A minute ago, I was on the phone, standing in the kitchen, making a listing cancellation, and saving my family from abandoning our city life. How was it possible that I had been dropped from the sky by fluffy balls after seeing music notes whirl around me? Before I dared to blink, sprouts broke the soil from where the balls had disappeared. Fist-sized spheres of mist rained down on the sprouts with thunder and lightning. I swallowed my urge to scream when the miniature plants broadened, green neon leaves casting a net of shadows. Tree roots roamed underground, and the field turned into a dense forest. My main experience with forests existed in movies because my parents had little time to take Sammy and me to explore the world outside Malden. But this forest wasn't like the jungles in movies with trees growing in disarray. Here, plants stood in neat lines, with a lush canopy of leaves that dwarfed me. It grew more terrifying when the intense colors of the forest transformed without warning into a widespread dullness, spooky in its dead shadows. I shivered at the sudden shift despite the warm air. Folding my arms together, I began hyperventilating, feeling scaly bumps rise from my arms and shoulders, a skin rash that appeared when I was under stress. I wished for my parents to appear and save me. I wished my planner had some sort of instructions for what to do in situations like this. Sammy's voice started throbbing in my head, soft and quivering, asking if anyone had seen the monster snatching me. Had I been snatched? By whom or by what lurked in the dark? Surely there was no monster. I sucked the inside of my cheeks and decided to figure things out. I had to get home. I curled my hands into a loudspeaker and called out, "Anyone out there? Hello? Hello?" A charged silence fell over the forest. The utter lack of chirping birds, croaking frogs, and humming winds made me extra self-conscious. I instinctively lowered my voice to a fierce whisper, only to hear it echoing back from a bright red object hanging off a slender twig. I reached for the creature the size and shape of a mini barrel, my temples pulsing fast. A piercing shout jolted my ears.
Hold it right there.
The red thing broke off from the stick and leaped onto a nearby branch.
Just what do you think you're doing?
This short, stocky creature glared at me with large eyes the color of a tangerine, and it gave me chills. I had never encountered such a thing with a red, barrel-shaped body that looked hard and rough like the shell of a sea turtle, lips that could pinch as thin as leaves, and limbs that seemed to be joined by a metal cord and stretched in and out of him as he talked.
Hello? Did you hear what I said?
He asked me again. I snapped to attention. I'm trying to understand what's going on.
What's going on? Have you lost your manners?
He jeered, mimicking my response in a whiny voice, spittle everywhere. I almost lost it, my fists squeezing so tight that my fingers ached against the strap of my crossbody bag. I wished I hadn't dropped my phone so I could call for help.
I've never seen something like you before.
He went on, giving me a once-over.
Upturned nose, high cheekbones, eyes like that of a wildcat, a crazy mop of hair. And how in the world do you stand on those twig-like legs of yours?
While he studied me, I did the same to him. This was probably the closest I had ever come to seeing a real-life monster. Sammy would have squealed at the mere sight of this ball of fury. I fished inside my purse until I felt the camera, its weight eliciting a nervous excitement in me. Raising the lens, I aimed and clicked, but the creature stomped out of frame, howling in pain.
Ah, that hurts.
He shouted as he swatted against his neck and shoulders, stamping repeatedly on the branch, almost cracking it. I hurried to put away the camera and backed off with open palms. My inner voice told me to bolt, but I had to say something, to be in control. Tucking a loose strand of hair behind my ear, I spoke in a tone I usually reserved for soothing Sammy. "Tell me, please, where am I?" The creature came to a standstill as if nothing had happened.
This is interesting.
A faraway glaze came over his eyes.
Well, you're in the pocket of the Aximore Run Forest, one of the most prestigious pockets in the kingdom of AmaReegon.
I only caught a few words of his long-winded sentence, like pockets, forest, and kingdom. I swallowed. What kingdom?
The kingdom of AmaReegon, home to timelessness, of course.
He said, home to timelessness?
Yes, meaning that everything here remains unchanged. As you should know, our kingdom is made of self-sufficient regions called pockets. For peace and joy, these pockets are isolated from one another to eliminate change, and cross-regional visits are strictly forbidden.
The creature raised a short, stiff finger as he went on.
Each pocket, like this one, runs on its own timeless repetition to preserve peace.
But what about the forest? I asked. Didn't it pop up out of nowhere just a moment ago? And where did you come from?
I'm always around,
he said.
Well, our king recently stepped down to allow the new heir to assume control of AmaReegon. And this puts us in a transitional phase known as the Period of Chaos, which has likely stirred up the forest. Just thought you should know.
I ran a hand through my unruly hair. The situation sounded utterly insane. All I could comprehend was that somehow I had ended up in this bizarre place, engaged in a conversation with a small, babbling red monster who bore a striking resemblance to a red mini-barrel with orange eyes and metallic coil arms and legs. I ran a hand through my unruly hair. The situation sounded utterly insane. All I could comprehend was that somehow I had ended up in this bizarre place, engaged in a conversation with a small, babbling red monster who bore a striking resemblance to a red mini-barrel with orange eyes and metallic coil arms and legs.
What else you should know is that you're speaking to one of the most venerable citizens of AmaReegon. Bulkee Signite, the name is.
He said emphatically.
I am the guardian of this entire forest. Now tell me your name.
Bulkee had an edgy manner, blinking with eyelids flapping so fast that the exasperated whites of his orange eyeballs were barely visible, crushing the tiny bits of calm in me. How was I going to make sense of this craziness?
Your name?
His voice lost its patience. I'm Annalise Sasha Ears. I go by...
Your name is Ears?
He squinted.
You sure can hear well.
My ears grew flaming hot, and my hands flew up, ruffling my hair to cover them before Bulkee could see me turn the color of Twizzlers and tease me like a mean-spirited high schooler. Look, Bulkee, I'm not sure how I ended up in AmaReegon. Someone tricked me and brought me here. In less than 2 minutes, I spilled the morning's events to Bulkee. And to be honest, I was all over the place because I couldn't even process what had happened. I explained that I was from a suburb of Boston. I went through my phone call with the real estate agent, skipping the fight with my parents. Mentioning the agent gave me pause. Was he truly the agent, or some kind of imposter? It has to be a mix-up, I said. The caller said something about an infinity gateway. He had to mean for somebody else to go through it, not me.
But he called you?
Bulkee asked.
And your name is Ears.
That's my last name, my first...
Ears, the Infinity Gateway is a sacred tunnel that connects all alternative realities beyond AmaReegon,
said Bulkee.
Are you saying you've been abducted through the Infinity Gateway?
The word abducted startled me. Abduction, I imagined, involved being snatched by criminals behind bushes, followed by a dark van speeding you down a shady street. But this was not the case for my inexplicable, baffling experience. That's what it feels like. I didn't come here by choice.
But no one has been abducted since the removal of time,
said Bulkee.
Chaundomic X used to snatch up anyone who stood in his way of entering other alternative realities. But that's all history.
Chaudom who? I raised my eyebrows.
Oh, the look on your face.
Bulkee frowned.
I can't believe I'm trifling with such an inept creature. Listen, Chaundomic X is the savage leader of some belligerent dwellers, and you can spot him by the handprint scar under his chin. He poses the biggest threat to AmaReegon.
What do you mean?
From what I remember,
said Bulkee,
Chaundomic X was the one who first discovered the Infinity Gateway. But the founding fathers of our kingdom took it away from him. It enraged Chaundomic X so much that he swore vengeance, vowing to destroy everything we had built for AmaReegon. In pursuit of his vendetta, he orchestrated thousands of abductions, leading to the widespread torture and eventual demise of those who dared oppose him. And he harbored a peculiar habit.
What was it? My eyes widened.
Chaundomic X had a penchant for collecting the hearts of his victims. He'd pry out their hearts and stash them away for his personal collection. It's the stuff of nightmares, really, making him not just bad, but downright terrifying.
My stomach churned as my anxious mind produced a mental sketch of a killer with bloodshot eyes, a distinctive handprint scar beneath his chin, and scaly lips curling into a twisted smile as he gripped me through my phone. Chaundomic X must be behind the scheme. But why would he target me? What connection did I or my family have to any of this? It all felt unreal. I have to get back home. My family is waiting for me, I said, raking a hand through my hair.
How are you getting home? You've got no clue.
Bulkee said, shaking his head disapprovingly.
Look at you, too scared, and too weak to withstand anything from the great AmaReegon.
The accuracy of Bulkee's judgment fell short. Was I scared? Of course. Weak? No way. Even so, I was no stranger to this type of insinuation. At school, my teachers suggested I become more vocal and assertive. But I was quiet, not timid, far from it. I simply found joy in soaking up every detail, looking at someone's new haircut, noticing a displaced mug, recognizing a flicker in someone's eyes, catching a change in tone, and sensing a shift in the ambiance. Dad termed it as hearing the unsaid story. He changed our last name to Ears as a reminder of this art that helped me form friendships, detect patterns, and figure out potential next moves. Don't worry about me, Bulkee, I said. I'll figure things out. I thanked Bulkee without letting him in on the panic that was now taking over my shock. I had to convince us both that I could navigate the forest just fine. I had walked through the public garden and Boston Common multiple times by myself. I'd be home in less than an hour. Whatever alternative reality, parallel universe, or undiscovered world this was, I refused to lose my sanity. I stepped away from the red monster, avoiding the muddy spots on the ground and steering clear of plants with thorns. I was cautious and hopeful, even snapping a couple of photos as I hiked. But after about 10 minutes, the forest changed again, turning 2 shades darker and scarier, with overgrown trees and leaves looking no less wild than the unkempt mane of a madman. It didn't help that the grass had shot up, leaving me no trail.
You're not on the right path,
came a familiar voice from behind me. I spun around to squint at the red monster creeping closely behind me. Why was he following me? I forced down the panic bubbling up from my chest. Sounds like you know where I'm going, Bulkee.
I do, of course. You'll have to go through the Infinity Gateway to return to your reality.
Uh-huh. The imposter agent had mentioned the Infinity Gateway, too. The tunnel that connected some places. Bulkee dropped to the ground with a raised finger.
Look behind you, Ears. The forest is filled with dangerous traps in every corner. Go out on your own, and you'll be ensnared like a fly in a spiderweb. unless I come with you to the Infinity Gateway.
As if following a script, the forest plunged into darkness, and my stomach churned with unease. Bulkee's reference struck a nerve, dredging up my deep-seated fear of spiders and their sticky webs. I needed a new plan. "Do you know the way to the Infinity Gateway, Bulkee?" I asked.
Well, Ears, you've stumbled upon someone extraordinary. I'm one of just 3 AmaReegon Seekers of the Enlightened, gifted with unique abilities to traverse from pocket to pocket.
Bulkee declared, his chin held high.
As I told you before, our kingdom thrives on maintaining stasis through self-sufficient regions known as pockets, and crossing their boundaries is strictly prohibited. But as a Seeker, I possess the remarkable skill to journey across the entire realm of different pockets, especially during this period of chaos. I alone can safeguard you as you navigate this intricate web to the Infinity Gateway.
I grappled with trust, unsure about placing it entirely in this strange creature. Yet sincerity emanated from the depths of his tangerine eyes. Besides, a lesson from some Chinese book on leveraging concessions for strategic advantage flashed in my mind. Concede now, and the prize was clear. Bulkee leading me to where I must go. I shot him a nod. "Show me the way, then." A big grin lit up his face as he urged,
Let's go, Ears. I'll tell you where to turn and when to stop. Just follow my instructions.
The idea of blindly forging through entangled vines and under oversized plants was terrifying. The last thing I wanted to do was march around the forest under the direction of an impatient monster. But the woods had gone too shadowy to leave me a choice.
Shoulders back, chin up, walk straight.
He began. Think positive. I stepped forward, reminding myself that traveling in the dark shouldn't be an issue for someone trained to master the balance beam as a gymnast. I'd been taking classes for the past 12 years, ever since I was 4. I would be fine.
Focus and keep your body straight, Ears. We're about to cross some small puddles. Jump up, skip 2 steps, make a left here. Walk faster. You're crossing over tree roots.
Wind blew around me. The air was chilly and smelled musty. I trudged through mud and felt prickly shrubs on my legs and the hard edges of rocks against the soles of my soccer sneakers. After no small amount of exertion, I found myself wishing that I weren't here at all, walking through the swampy ground. What I wanted was to wrap my arms around Sammy, promising that no monster would ever take me away. To hear Mom's cackle when I slurped up her delicious fried rice. To see joy spread on Dad's face after I showed him a collection of my best photographs. I missed my family so much that my feet were as fast as turbine-powered blades.
Slow down,
Bulkee warned. As I told you before, our kingdom thrives on maintaining stasis through self-sufficient regions known as pockets, and crossing their boundaries is strictly prohibited.
I need you to prepare for the Sebenic Tigeon ahead of us.
What is that?
A red tigerish creature with dragon wings, don't you know?
I squinted hard into the gloom and could barely make out the shadow of a small grassy patch with a line of plants around it. But nothing else. No red tiger, no dragon wings. I don't see anything, I confessed.
Of course you don't, you won't, and you can't.
Bulkee snapped without skipping a beat.
You aren't even developed.
My jaw clenched at his snarky comments. Did he find joy in my misery? Feed off it or something? Bulkee, seriously, I have no clue what you're getting at, but it's not helping.
Ears, you've got an interesting way of expressing your anger. Subdued, that's the word.
Said Bulkee.
Now bend your knees and take a leap.
A whooshing sound shot from beneath my feet, and I plunged with the speed of having hurled myself off a cliff. My heart escaped my throat until something soft and plushy caught me. I blinked to adjust to bright streaks of light, finding us on top of a mountain range covered in foliage. Past the leaves, I spotted cute cottages with round roofs that looked like puffy bread rolls and walls lined with columns of ladyfingers. But I was expecting to find the Infinity Gateway, the sacred gateway that was supposed to link to my world, offering me a way back home, and that was nowhere to be seen. Bulkee, where's the Infinity Gateway? I asked.
No, we're far from it.
He replied. A lump formed in my throat. Why did Bulkee lead me here?
Subscribe to the Vanishing Map channel and stay tuned for the next chapter.